Hello, world. I just saw this POS talking, so I had to check out what he was talking about. And so now I'm going to expose his dirty, dirty deeds done dirt cheap. My pop-ups are priceless, aren't they? Brian with LTL knows very well that Karen Reed is guilty of murdering Officer John O'Keefe. He knows that. Brian has suffered some personal traumatic loss in his life, loss of life. Very close people to him. Yet he's out here simping for a murderer of a Boston police officer who he knows is guilty of murder. And in doing so, he makes fun of other law enforcement officers. He finds absolute humor in Alan Jackson being a complete bully and a complete asshole. I mean, just completely being an asshole to every single witness, as if every single witness deserves his disdain. Trooper Paul knows what he's talking about. He had a hard time articulating it because of Alan Jackson. I'm sure that he was in shock on the stand, like, why is this man attacking me? I'm just trying to explain what happened, and he's twisting my words. And then all the little cult members out there repeat, oh, it's a pirouette. Yeah, he did a pirouette. Just all these little taglines that Jackson and Reed and Turtle Boy put out there for all these little simps who are probably making tens of thousands of dollars off of this innocence fraud campaign. It makes me physically sick. It gives me a stomach ache when I come across this shit. Shame on you, Brian.
I love shopping, tanning, and celebrity.
What you're doing is disgusting. It's despicable. And I truly hope Hank comes after all of you for your part in this crap. It is nauseating.
Just don't understand. You're a fucking jury, and you're sitting there watching this guy, and you're listening to him. How do you believe anything that's coming out of his mouth? Trump is now in it, like they're having conversations here, and you listen to this guy talk. How could you believe him? How could you ignore this? It's insane. And we haven't even got to the pirouette yet.
Paul, they're exactly equal in all respects under the principles of physics, right? That's the theory of the conservation of momentum. Momentum doesn't change. So you transfer from one body to another.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Why didn't you say that to the jurors?
Objection.
Sustained. Paul, if you were qualified to, quote, look into all this stuff, you would probably know these answers.
Objection.
Are there any other calculations that you need to figure out the stuff that you were talking to about with the grand jury?
Objection.
Sustained.
That is not funny. That is bullying. It's disgusting.
That'd be important.
What objects?
That would be John O'Keefe's body, sir.
Oh my God.
The latest weather forecast
Objection.
Sustained.
The body? Oof.
In order to calculate how far the body would move from the mass of the object striking the body, could you use displacement using kinematic equations?
So, like I said before, the side swipe, he would not have gotten 100% of the vehicle, 100% of the speed of the striking vehicle. It would have vastly underestimated this vehicle. You couldn't hit the person and side swipe them and spin them off to the side and have that thing.
Just a side note for all of you physics and science little cultists out there, listen to what Trooper Paul is explaining. He's explaining physics and science. This is what I ask you all to explain to me. What did ARCA explain to you about the physics and science? They just had their little tagline. You can't deny the physics and the science, which is what y'all repeat. What physics and science? Explain it, like Trooper Paul is explaining it. This is physics and science. You can't just say physics, science. Get a clue. Listen.
Get SB from those calculations.
So you're saying that The discipline of physics cannot figure out how far John O'Keefe's body would move. But you personally figured out that he would have flown now somewhat, or been projected somewhat 30 feet.
Objection.
Sustained.
Are you saying that the principles of physics are incapable of determining with proper calculations how far John O'Keefe's body would have moved given the collision at issue?
Objection.
Is that what you're saying, Trooper?
No.
Okay, next question.
You just said because it was sideswipe, all these calculations, these physics calculations are inapplicable, right?
But I'm saying it would underestimate the speed, the distance. I have gotten 100% of the vehicle, 100% of the speed of the striking vehicle. It would have vastly underestimated this vehicle. You couldn't hit a person and sideswipe them and spin them off to the side and have that and get a speed from those calculations.
So you're saying that
Okay, listen to that. He explained the physics. Okay? He's not just going to say, physics and science, you can't deny it. Pirouettes. No, he explained it. The weight, the mass, the momentum.
the discipline of physics.
Now, I will concur. It wasn't clean, and we need visual aids. But I am so sick of people not thinking for themselves. Just because a defense witness says physics and science, you're going to just say, okay, you're adults. If that's the way that you operate in this world, that scares the living bejesus out of me.
Cannot figure out how far John O'Keefe's body.
And with that said, don't believe everything that I say. I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm here to help you see shit. Don't believe don't believe everything that anybody says. Think for yourselves. Take what somebody says, think about it, process it through your own filters, your life experience, do some research, do the things that people do when they're looking for truth.
How far John O'Keefe's body would move. But you personally figured out that he would have flown now somewhat, or been projected somewhat 30 feet.
Objection.
Sustained.
Are you saying that the principles of physics are incapable of determining with proper calculations how far John O'Keefe's body would have moved given the collision at issue?
Objection.
Is that what you're saying, Trooper?
No.
Okay, next question.
You just said because it was sideswipe, all these calculations, these physics calculations are inapplicable, right?
But I'm saying it would underestimate the speed, the distance.
The truth is, Trooper Paul, you have no idea what all these physics calculations mean, do you?
Objection.
Sustained.
He's just explaining it. And Alan Jackson is just undermining him, treating him like dirt. This is a trooper testifying in a court of law about what he did in an accident reconstruction to help convict his murderer. And this is how he's treated by this despicable man. And all of these little minions out here praise this behavior. Imagine yourself being in Trooper Paul's position. You're up there just doing your job. And you get nervous. And you know what, Brian? I know that you suffer with anxiety. So I know that you probably would have the same kind of afflictions that he's suffering, especially if somebody is speaking to you the way that this jackass Jackson is doing. It is atrocious. The fact that a human being can treat another human being like this is one thing, but to have all of you other adults acting like mean girls on the internet? Adults!
Are you
Many of you have your own children, nieces and nephews. Like, you have people in your lives that you care about, and this is how you treat other human beings. You have a picture of John O'Keefe. And you know Karen Reed is guilty of his murder. You know it, Brian. And we all know that you know it. It's not a secret. You're not hiding it. And the fact that you use his name and his picture to raise money for his murderer and to line your own pockets, you are some real fucking pieces of work.
Calculations mean, do you?
Objection.
Sustained.
You've not been trained in physics formally, have you?
Yes.
You have been.
It's incorporated into the classes.
Right, you have a few classes. use the word physics, but you haven't been formally trained in physics. Have you?
Objection.
Sustained.
You haven't been formally trained in kinematics, correct?
It's in the aspects of all our crash reconstruction classes.
You haven't been formally trained and hold no degrees in biomechanics.
Uh-oh.
I do not have a degree in biomechanics.
In fact, basically what you
We
do
know
is
ARCA
based
does.
on calculated emission cycles. And you got those wrong, right?
Objection.
Sustained. Come on, Mr. Jackson. Ask the appropriate part of the question and you'll get it.
Oh, get that water.
Let me ask you this. Based on your reconstruction, nearly 2-year investigation, exactly how was that taillight shattered?
Oh, here we go.
How does it tell it? What
All
do you
right, I'm gonna slow this down because I wanna see this in real time.
This
Here we go.
behavior, Brian, is
Oh, I love this part.
despicable.
It gets,
You love
so
this.
the taillight in this
You
case
love
was shattered
him
when it
bullying
was struck
a
John O'Keefe's
respectable.
arm. How does it tell it? What do
All
you
right, I'm gonna slow this down because I wanna see this in real time. Here we go. Oh,
Despicable.
I love this part.
It gets,
You
so the
love
taillight in this case
bullying.
was shattered when it was struck John O'Keefe's arm.
Exactly what part of his arm?
Based on what I saw for his injuries, was from the upper part of his arm down.
Was his arm out? Just struck the arm on a hinge? In front of him? You did the reconstruction?
Now, when he puts his arm out and tries to show Alan Jackson what he thinks, notice what type of environment Trooper Paul is in. He's sitting in a freaking, like, booth stand thing, right? I have all these pop-ups. I'm sorry. I apologize. And he doesn't have any room in there. He has to hold his arm up high. He probably, ultimately, what he should have done is stood up and got in a comfortable location. But again, the man is nervous and Jackson is being a complete bully. It's disgusting. This is a trooper trying to give testimony in the murder trial of a Boston police officer. And these assholes are out here simping for his murderer, raising money for his murderer in his name, using his picture, laughing at innocent people trying to do their job to convict a police officer's murderer. Adults are acting like this. It is despicable and disgusting and deplorable and atrocious and literally nauseates me. This is your legacy, folks. This is what you signed up for. All of this shit is going to be exposed. Why do you think Hank Brennan is on this case? Y'all want to talk about him being a mob lawyer and Whitey Bulger and all this crap and trying to discredit him? Do you know why Hank Brennan took that case? Probably not. Because you guys don't actually ever do research. And if you do, you ignore the facts and twist your own reality. But I think you like to live in blissful ignorance. The less you know, the better.
Are you tired of your old pool?
Making lying easier. Hank Brennan took that case because he wanted to expose the corruption in the federal government. He didn't take Whitey Bulger to vindicate him. Everybody knew that he was going to get convicted. He wanted to expose the corruption in the federal government. Do you understand that, Brian? All of you assholes are involved in this. And in my opinion, my, stupid ass brain, according to all y'all, this is RICO. You guys operate like a crime family. This is a mob. This is New York in the 60s. 70s. I don't remember which decade the mob was. 70s, I think. I don't know. You guys know, I'm sure, because you're part of it. So, oh God, seriously, the money laundering. I'm sure that all this money is funneling right back into your channels. I mean, the whole thing is it's disgusting. And the real kicker is when Turtle Boy got arrested and went to jail, we saw exactly how the organized crime family works. He was in jail communicating with somebody based on a lie because the jail was told that the person he was talking to was part of his legal team, but it was
your kitchen looks...
but it was one of your little turtle riders, FKRs, getting information out. And then you and the Glarer and Mike from the Young Jerks took over. All your heads from this dragon just popped up and just took over, and you were having illegal communications and putting out information and taking over for your crime boss, one of the bosses. I mean, it's so disgusting. I really hope you guys all go down for this shit.
Destruction.
Look-
It shows exactly how his body was positioned when he was struck by that.
So it looks like his arm was more kind of like this. If I can try to get that.
You're indicating out by his side, correct?
Yes.
All right. And the tail light.
He's holding a glass, okay? And he's trying to show the jury, which is why I'm assuming his arm is up. Again, he should have stood up. But the way that they exaggerate this and laugh and joke, this is the moment, we're talking about the moment that Karen Reed's SUV collided with John O'Keefe's body. And this is hysterical because Alan Jackson is being a fucking bully. You're going to look back on this, and I would hope that you are filled with absolute shame. I don't know how y'all can look in the mirror. It's disgusting. Hilarious.
Struck his arm, right?
Yes.
Not his torso.
Yes.
Okay. So the full mass, the full weight of that truck hit him basically at the elbow.
Shows an indication that this lower torso was struck, but
Okay. So
it's not saying it could not have been a possibility, but I just didn't see anything.
So his torso was spared from being hit, but the arm took the brunt, full force of the vehicle, correct?
Why wouldn't that... Wait a minute. If he's saying that the full force of that hit, he took it with his arm, why didn't it rip his fucking arm off? Why didn't dislocate...
Listen to that empathy. Again, remember the moment in time that we're discussing. And this is his commentary.
his shoulder? Why didn't his fucking bone break? It literally...
Funny. And you know what? As far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, do they do autopsies in Massachusetts? Did they do an autopsy? Or, I mean, not an autopsy, x-rays during the autopsy on John O'Keefe? Did they do that? Does anybody know? Let me know if you know. Because as far as I know, I didn't hear any testimony about it, but I could have missed it. So let me know. But as far as I know, they don't. I had a fractured wrist when I was in 9th grade, somewhere in there. Basketball tournament came down on my wrist. All weekend, I was in agony. And I'm a tough farm girl. I have a high pain tolerance. My parents didn't believe me. They made me actually, do a little, physical therapy at home, like how you would do if you have a sprained something or other when you're trying to heal it. And they finally brought me to the doctor on Monday, and it was broken. It was fractured. I had to get a cast. So, you don't know if things were fractured unless there was x-rays done. This is another tagline that you all exploit without any fucking factual basis for it.
Literally would have ripped his fucking arm out of his socket. This is too much.
Like arm and shoulder, yes.
Okay. And you said he then did a spin,
Oh,
like a sort of a pirouette.
He got spun around possibly the way he struck, it looks like it could have turned around counterclockwise.
Okay. So if he turns around counterclockwise, is he turning around
Here we go.
counterclockwise?
Yes, initially.
So he gets hit in the upper biceps, shoulder area, and down to the forearm
Funny.
Yes.
by an unbroken taillight, right?
Yes.
In other words, it's nice and smooth. No shards of plastic or anything broken at the time that it made contact with his arm, right?
Correct.
Okay. So how did his arm get all cut up?
Because when his arm struck the taillight then cracked, and I see the car driving past him, the taillight.
Let me remind y'all once again, Trooper Paul is trying to describe the moment of impact. Imagine the absolute terror that John, like, what in the hell? Like, that moment of impact. That's what Trooper Paul is on the stand trying to give testimony in actual scientific explanations that he's having trouble getting out because Jackson's being a dick, but he's still getting it out. You just have to be willing. Sorry about that. You have to be willing to hear it, right? But no, we're going to laugh. We're going to focus on all of Alan Jackson's bullshit taglines, pirouettes, fucking acting like a soap opera actor. This isn't a play. And there's nothing funny about it.
Past him, the taillight could scratch it.
So gets hit by the car, not his torso, just the arm. The taillight cracks, and as it passes by, his arm stays with it long enough to get striations, those scratches, those lacerations, right?
In a sense, yes.
And at the same time, he does a pirouette and flies 30 feet to his final point of rest.
I don't know if he did a pirouette.
Well,
Unbelievable.
He spun around.
He started rotating counterclockwise. I don't know how far he ran counterclockwise, but he started rotating. According to that would push him to rotate counterclockwise. Whether or not he went counterclockwise all the way to his back toward the ground.
Oh, God. Dude.
It seems like.
See, this is how cults work. That if you're watching court, folks, and you're listening to somebody like this, he's laughing over testimony. He's plucking out one word from like 17 paragraphs and focusing on that and laughing and shouting over testimony so you can't actually hear what Trooper Paul is saying. He's telling you exactly what to think, how to interpret this evidence. You are not understanding the context if you actually care about truth and justice. You do not want... Oh, I apologize. You do not want to be watching... Oh, crap. Creators like that. Hold on.
I could scratch it.
So gets hit by the car, not his torso, just the arm. The taillight cracks, and as it passes by, his arm stays with it long enough to get striations, those scratches, those lacerations, right?
In a sense, yes.
And at the same time, he does a pirouette and flies 30 feet to his final point of rest.
I don't know if he did a pirouette.
Well,
Unbelievable.
He spun around.
He started rotating counterclockwise. I don't know how far he ran counterclockwise, but he started rotating. According to that would push him to rotate counterclockwise. Whether or not he went counterclockwise all the way to his back toward the ground.
Oh, God. Dude.
It seems like a most likely possibility.
Your ship.
Again, listen to his actual facts. He's talking about his calculations. If you go to Law and Crime or Court TV and listen to their stream without this bullshit commentary, you'll actually hear the testimony and then interpret it for yourself. And then you can go watch creators and stuff, but get a feel for the actual testimony. Don't let other people tell you what to think. Don't let other people invade your hearing and actually collecting the evidence for yourself. You can't hear half the shit he's saying because Brian and Melanie and all these assholes sit and talk over and make faces and talk shit and pick out. They all talk to each other. They all have bullet points. That's why they all say the same shit. All you creators that make your little montages of these lawyers reacting with such shock and horror, you know why? Because they all have the same talking points. They're all trained and paid to do exactly what they're supposed to do. They're monkeys in a fucking circus. This is a murder trial for a Boston police officer who was raising his young niece and nephew because both of their parents tragically passed away within 6 months of each other. John left the Boston police, came to Canton, lived in his sister and brother-in-law's house, and took over. This is the man that we are speaking about, his murder, from his psychotic, borderline personality.
Play thousands of games for free.
Abusive girlfriend. And these assholes are simping for her. All of these assholes. Brian at LTL, Mike at the Young Jerks, Broken Baker, Van Hala, or whoever's on with them. Brandy Churchwell, Melanie Little, Emily Baker even. The lawyer you know even. Andrea Burkhart, Defense Diaries. All these fucking people. It's disgusting. If you want to actually get testimony with you know, no commentary while you're actually consuming the testimony, Yellow Cottage Tales, Law and Crime, Court TV, Twisted Tragedies is back. She may do it. I don't know if Masshole is going to do it. Roberta Glass. These people they have their opinions, but they don't tell you what to think. If you want to actually go to a place and get, you know, information and get facts. And if you still believe she's innocent, then fine. Go back and, you know, participate in these. But do yourself a favor and get the facts first. Because anybody that still believes that she is guilty, or innocent, sorry, she is guilty. Anybody that still believes she is innocent, you're going to have a rude awakening. Because I can tell you, just by looking at what's happening before the trial with these motions and the witnesses, Hank's going scorched earth. He says, you want to fuck around and find out and go scorched earth on innocence fraud in my state? With the help of the federal government? None of this shit would have even been possible without the involvement of Josh Levy. None of it. Enter Hank, exposing corruption. God, I hope he brings RICO charges. I so hope he brings RICO charges. There's so much money laundering going on with all of these people. They are all incentivized. There's actual texts with Brandy Churchwell admitting as much. So I'm sure there's evidence out there. There's plenty of texts between Karen and Turtle Boy. I mean, this shit is going to get exposed. So if you want to live in your little blissfully ignorant world, you're going to have to ignore, like, reality. Like, you're already not living in reality if you still think she's innocent. But I can't believe that people can actually still think that. I'm at the point where I think the people that are still supporting her don't care that she's guilty. And that's scary as fuck, too. Both scenarios are scary as fuck. We have adult human beings walking around here that can see everything that's been going on, that's been following this case, and still believe she's innocent. That's scary. Conversely, if you know she's guilty and you don't care that she's guilty and you're contributing to trying to get this woman acquitted for murdering her boyfriend, she's a danger to society. She has terrorized that community. She has terrorized John's family and friends and loved ones for 3 years. Terrorized them. The way that Alan Jackson is performing on the stand is how he performed with almost every single witness. He treated them all like shit at a murder trial for a Boston police officer. Everybody else, the 90 witnesses that took the stand, they're all lying pieces of shit, according to Alan Jackson, David
In this
Giannetti,
video, you will learn the important
and Karen Reed. But Karen Reed is the only one that that's telling the truth, apparently. But she's also the only one that talks to everybody in the public eye, every media outlet, but she won't take the stand. I hear people in social media saying, why don't the Alberts and the McCabe's and all these people go on YouTube shows and do interviews? First of all, fuck you all. Like, they don't owe you shit. And I'm sure they don't pay attention to social media because they are adult human beings with adult lives. And furthermore, if you want to know what their truth is, listen to their testimony. That's their interview. That's the truth. That's under pains and penalty of perjury. They don't have to go run around and go on talk shows and all this crap to try to claim that they're innocent. They are innocent. They don't have to twist the facts. The truth will be revealed. There's a Manson documentary on Netflix that's just came out. Anybody that still believes that Karen Reed is innocent, please go watch that.
Ship is sunk.
Did you account for the fact that his arm is on a hinge?
It's what? Say again.
Did you account for the fact in this scenario that you just told the jurors that his arm is on a hinge?
On a hinge.
I mean, he's speaking to him with such arrogance and dismissive, petulant bullshit. Trooper Paul knows what he's talking about. Alan Jackson crafted his lines. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He consulted with people who know what they're talking about and cheated. And he's trying to embarrass and degrade this man. And it's hilarious.
Okay.
So, arm got hit. His arm
Just curious if any attorneys listen to this. Please let me know. If I was Trooper Paul on the stand, I would say to Alan Jackson, something to the effect of, "Excuse me, sir. I am trying to give testimony about what I did in a scientific manner to determine how John O'Keefe was killed and what injuries came about as a result of that murder, and I would like to do that. I would appreciate it if you could speak to me with some respect." You know, I don't know. I mean, how does the judge handle that? Because I know that Lally and Judge Cannoni are trying to help him, you know, but at the same time, you know, he's being super polite, even though I know that he's getting super frustrated, as we all heard him, you know, get to the point of frustration where he's like, "It just did." And so then it was just like, it's exactly what Alan Jackson was trying to do, fluster him so he would make a comment like that. He got exactly what he wanted. Jen McCabe wasn't letting him get away with that shit. And then she gets just completely slaughtered in the social media realm for how she reacted to him. She wasn't going to let him talk to her like that. So, I mean, you look at, they demean Brian Albert for not coming out of his house. First of all, he didn't know. There were no sirens. I'm sure they had probably curtains. They didn't see, they didn't hear. They passed out like 2 hours before, you know, probably 4 hours before this. You know, I have German Shepherds. They don't bark. Like, not all dogs do the same thing, first of all. And Shepherds typically are very well behaved, and they're not typically barkers unless there is actual danger. That's when my Shepherds bark, and it's rare. And if they bark, I pay the fuck attention. But imagine if Brian Albert came out of his house like they're all saying that he should have. What would happen then? Oh yeah, he was at the crime scene. He was manipulating evidence. He was talking to people. He orchestrated all. I mean, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. When people do innocence fraud and claim corruption and get people on board like this is scary. This needs to stop. I hope Hank Brennan is. It's like the Mona Lisa in the Louvre to me. It's like such precision. He's methodically dismantling this bullshit. And he is going to go scorched earth. I want him to do a, like some sort of course to train prosecutors in innocence fraud. Because this is the first real-time one that
Breaking news!
Mr. Beast sends
with the exception of Amanda Knox, but since that was in a different country, they were doing it in America, but I mean, it was confusing. But this is, if we don't find a way to do exactly what Hank Brennan is going to do in the second trial here, there's a lot of dangerous people that will get away with shit. So I really, truly hope. I really feel like John is really showing Hank his higher purpose here. I mean, it's incredible. This is seriously going to be, I hate to say something like this, but this is going to be an epic trial. Like, I cannot wait to see how this intellectual giant and legal lion legal savant just crushes this disgusting defense team and gets justice for John, for John's family, for all of his loved ones, for all of these witnesses, for all of the police officers that have went through hell. I mean, the fact that Michael Proctor is going through what he's been, it literally turns my stomach, because Karen Reed can't take responsibility for her actions. All of these people have been paying with their lives for the last 3 years, and they will be forever changed as a result of what they experienced. But they are strong individuals, and I have full faith that they are going to become amazing mentors to people with their experience to help others through this experience.
no download. Play all the best.
Through this tragic experience. You know, people that go through this shit, just not this shit in particular, but difficult things in life, become the best teachers and mentors, because we all go through stuff, right? And so we all bring our own personal life experiences to situations, and not a lot of people have experienced what these people have experienced. And I really feel like they could, you know, even do like a TED Talk, something with Hank Brennan, something like that, you know, where it's just like, you put it out there in the universe, you give people their power back, you take the power away from lying criminals and criminal attorneys who act like criminals, and not only act like criminals, think like criminals, and take criminal actions. These attorneys literally should get criminal charges. They should absolutely lose their licenses, and they should go to prison for the crimes that they've committed. And that's what I want to see. I really hope that Hank follows this all the way through, which, again, I think that's exactly why Hank is there. Federal corruption. RICO. Bring it, Hank.
Swing.
I said arm and shoulder area, so his arm could have been considered part of it.
Even if his shoulder got the upper
Okay.
pointing to his upper biceps.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's no injuries on his shoulder. Not a single one. Not even a bruise. Right?
Like I said, it looked like to me it was from up here. I don't know how far I can back here, but it was up here.
Well,
So
you're the one that talked about his injuries on his arm.
yes,
That's limited to about mid biceps to about mid forearm. Correct?
Unbelievable.
okay,
Right?
Okay.
yes,
No injuries on the shoulder. No injuries on the torso. No injuries on the ribs. No injuries on the back. Correct? that right?
Yes.
So your theory is you got hit on the arm, took the brunt of the force from the taillight on the arm.
Look at
stayed
Karen.
with the vehicle long enough
Yeah, look
for the
at
taillight
Karen.
to explode, basically.
Oh my
shatter.
Explode.
And these striations get
Another
on his arm.
tagline.
Abrasions.
Disgusting.
Does a pirouette,
Ugh.
spin, counterclockwise, flies 30 feet in the air to his point breast.
It's so ridiculous.
This is
Yeah,
theater.
probably a little faster than that, though.
Liza's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Actually said he hit his head on the curb.
Now,
Actually, that's
again,
one of the possibilities of.
here we go again, okay? You are a jury that's sitting there and listening to this shit.
I'll tell you what I would think, Brian. You know what I would think? I would think this jackass needs to sit down and shut up because he is abusing a witness who's trying to give testimony, and he's distorting everything that he says, and he's mocking him, and he's twisting his words, and it's disgusting. It's vile. That's what I would think. Jackson would have no credibility. None. The way that he treated everybody, none. Done.
How could you even think that is possible? How could you even think this is possible? You're fucking listening to this.
Yes, and what he said, if you actually listen to what Trooper Paul says and not the little taglines that AJ's throwing out to you to pick up and throw out to every freaking person you can find, if you actually listen to the testimony, it makes sense. It was a sideswipe. The vehicle hit him. The momentum sent him in a clockwise spin. I can't wait. Oh, sorry about those stupid pop-ups. I can't wait for Aperture. I cannot wait for Aperture. You guys want to talk about ARCA? Physics and science. You can't deny physics and science. Really? What physics and what science? Doctors? We're going to find out physics and science. You can bank on that shit. How many were there? Like 5 people on the witness list from Aperture? There's a bunch of them. Oh, it's going to be incredible.
I don't know. I would just be like, this is not adding up. This is literally not adding up. This would be the moment. This would be the moment for me. If everything else was just fucking a cloudy situation to me, and I'm listening to this, I'm like, there's no way. There's just no way.
Then you are not an intelligent person. You are ignorant. And you don't want to find the truth. And you don't want to get justice. That's the mindset of somebody who just says, oh, no, not even going to think about it anymore. One thing, he's flustered. And so she's obviously, I can't convict her. She clearly didn't do it because pirouettes and physics and science. Like, seriously, people? I can't. It's disgusting. I think I've had enough of this, but way to go, Brian. Way to go. Feel good about yourself? To all you out there that are actually here for the right reasons and you want justice for all of these victims, trust and believe. John O'Keefe, he's gonna get it. Love and light to y'all. Mwah.